Freshman Peter Hart's feet are firmly planted on the ground, but that isn't the case for Peter's dad, David. While most kids wave goodbye to their parents in the morning as they head off to the office, Peter knows his dad's office is 4,000 feet in the air. David Hart was a former U.S. Army Ranger who now works as a motivational speaker, author, and skydiver. Yes, I said skydiver. He's made thousands of jumps from cargo planes, helicopters, hot air balloons, and even bridges. Let's just say fear of heights isn't a problem for David. But his son Peter has to live with the fear of his dad making his living thousands of feet above the earth.
It's cool because it's different than most other jobs where you sit inside a cubicle like other people's dads and they just sit there and work all day at their desk, and he actually gets out and does stuff.
David Hart travels the country to talk to corporate groups on how to improve their productivity. He often uses skydiving as a tool to better reach his audiences, even if that means taking the leap himself.
I've done professional speaking for 10 years, and I speak to business audiences, I speak to youth groups, and my message ties my experience as a skydiver, ranger, into practical life things. One of the things I found people have a fear of skydiving that ties into just general life fears: fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of consequences, it holds people back from doing achieving their dreams or achieving their full potential. And a lot of times the anticipation of the skydive is worse than the actual act.
Peter has grown accustomed to his dad's profession, and there are times that some of his dad's tactics even have an impact on Peter.
He coaches sports year-round like lacrosse, baseball, other sports, wrestling, and he's good at motivational words to pump up the team.
I guess you could say David Hart is kind of a thrill seeker, a former U.S. Army Ranger, a motivational speaker who's spoken in front of huge crowds, and on top of that, he's jumped out of planes in some pretty unique places.
Without a doubt, my number one most memorable jump was we jumped on the anniversary of 9/11. In 2008, we jumped directly over Ground Zero in New York City. And at that time, they hadn't done any construction. It was just a big hole in lower Manhattan. And the way that the winds were, we literally exited the airplane and we opened our canopies and we were looking right down into Ground Zero. And we flew 7 parachutes with 7 U.S. flags for 7 years. And it was right when the second tower fell, and it was awesome. All these boats were blowing their horns in the harbor. We ended up landing in Liberty State Park. So that's my most memorable skydive.
Peter hasn't taken the leap yet, but he's considered it.
Well, he's given me the opportunity to, but since he's a skydiver, he's my dad. But I want to do it. I want to wait till I'm 18. That's because that's when I'm officially legal to be able to do a tandem skydive.
A lot of kids grow up to follow in their parents' footsteps, but for most of them, that means their feet will be firmly planted on the ground. While Peter Hart is still a freshman in high school, he still has a lot of time to decide if he too may someday want to make his living 4,000 feet above the earth. I'm Tori McVey, NBC News.